came back here when I retired in '02, and John Calvano was the first guy I met here, and my older boys who are 23 and 26 now, started here at the club, and in short order, we figured out in a hurry. We were pretty blessed with some of the coaching. We had John Batchelor and John, who coached both of my boys at various levels until they left the club. My older boy now is 26, and he's long left the game, except he plays in a men's league with his buddies. He's a financial manager. And my younger son, Landon, he's 23, and he plays in the Detroit Red Wings system. He's in the American League and is a fourth-year pro. So when we came here, I'd never been part of a private hockey club. The tail end of my career was in Atlanta and in Los Angeles, and they had a name for the hockey parents back then, and that was in the mid-'90s, and they called them the fanatical few. Because if you were playing hockey in Atlanta, it was nothing to drive 90 minutes to a practice. It was nothing to drive on a weekend 7 hours to play a league game, and then 7 hours back. You played one game and came all the way back. So if you were going to play, you were going to have to be in. But there wasn't many kids, so it was really pretty easy. I was blown away with the intensity of the hockey when we moved back. First of all, to Canada. I thought I knew it, but then to a private club, because in general minor hockey, there's different levels of commitments, and you can play on a team that practices once a week, or you could try and play on a travel team. Well, if you came here, it was pretty clear in a hurry we were going to make some kind of commitment to hockey, and the commitment wasn't for me, although, as was mentioned, we were 45 minutes away with boys that were 3 years apart. So they practiced. There was a practice in between when the older guy came on. So when we came, we were here for the night. Like, I'm sure some of you guys have been here, and there's no short way. You either come to practice and you're here for the night, or you're not. Well, the commitment had to be my boys. I just had to sit here. I sat, had a beer, or talked with the guys. You start to make little connections with the parents, and some of them you're going to be friends with or acquaintances with for your entire time at the club. Because the club exists for, I don't know, John, what year was that book we saw down there in the 50s? Yeah. You know, the first membership book. Your time here is short, relatively speaking. You just pass through the club, and then the club exists. Now, I got a call 3 weeks in a row from different people at the club. From parent, board member, coach. And so I didn't want to get too much detail about some of the issues that are here at the club, because really it's not my business to start with. But what's important to realize is that while the issues are different than when I was at the club, they're not really that different. They're just a little different road. There's social media now. We had a parent, John reminded me, that hung a coach on a hook downstairs in 2000. There were no social media. Could you imagine what would happen today? The problems were as severe, and maybe every bit as intense as they are today. The one thing that gets lost is this is your club. It's not the board's club. It's not the coach's club. It's not the player's club. It's your club. And so where the breakdown occurs, in many cases, is there's no clear path to what the club is supposed to be. Like if I asked everybody here what the mission statement of this club is, what you're trying to accomplish, how many different answers would you think would turn up? 20? 30? I think in general everybody has a kind of sort of an idea, but it's different for everybody. There's almost 300 players, 22 teams here. Everybody has a little bit different reason why they're at the club. But at the very base of it, if everybody doesn't understand what's trying to be accomplished, you guys are going to be butting heads all the time. It's never going to be as good as it can be. And you have to remember that by the time a lot of you have graduated out of here, you know, your kids have grown and you've moved on to junior, or the kids have gone on to something else, you're just kind of getting in the swing of how the club should be run in your time frame. And then you're all gone. And then a whole new group comes in. So instead of waiting till the end of your time, there's a chance through some of the travails that have gone on to define what exactly you're trying to accomplish here. Because my belief, and I've seen some clubs that are run about as scattershot as you can believe in my travels, and I've seen some that are run really well. And the one common denominator is that the ones that are run well, they know what they're trying to do. Still doesn't mean, there's still problems, there's still issues that have to be resolved, there always will be, but they know what they're trying to accomplish. So when you're thinking about a mission statement or an identity, one of the things is what constitutes a good year for your son or daughter. Now, my boys played, when we got here, they were on the Pee-wee, the Pee-wee and the Bantam, the top level teams. So was a good year the provincial championship, or winning the Christmas tournament, or which honestly takes so much focus and precedence that I think people forget. In my opinion, that's great. It's awesome if you can win a tournament and a provincial championship and put a banner on. But it doesn't happen very often. If my son was better in April than he was in October, I thought that was a good year. If they played in competitive games and they had a blast while they were doing it, then I thought that was a successful year. I remember going to tournaments, and the only people that were nervous were the parents. The game was over. You asked 6 kids after the game what the score was, you get 5 different answers. That was on the top level teams. They didn't know. I mean, they were sour when they lost, or they were happy when they won. But this is supposed to be about the kids. It's supposed to be about these guys. It's not for what we think is the only way to go. Now, I don't want to get preachy or anything like that, because I'm not sitting in your shoes, but I've been here, and I know how emotional it all gets. And your son or daughter doesn't play as much as you want. Your son or daughter's getting the raw stick. Your team, you don't like your team's travel. You don't like the way the coach is running hockey for. There's always something, and it's always the most important thing to you. But if you become emotional, then what is your child going to see? You don't do that with your school teachers. My kids now, my little guys, they play soccer. Just because that's what they love. But I'm seeing the same things there. They're now, I watch a parent. We're at this Monday clinic. I'm watching this parent basically chase down the coach at the end of the field. And I'm like, where is he going? Little guys here. Where is he going? And he's got the coach down there because he doesn't like the way that the practice is being run. Well, then get in and coach. Get involved. But if you don't, you have to take a step back and think, what is the best here for my son, and realize that this isn't one-on-one tutoring. There are 300 players. But it all goes back again to what are you trying to accomplish here? What is the goal of the Burnaby Winter Club? Because I think the Burnaby Winter Club, when I came here, it was a really blue-collar place. I can't believe how nice it is downstairs. John was pointing out where the trophy cases, that was a door. Like you went through the door there to the rink. There were kids coming up in their gear, walking straight through there, and banging their sticks all over the place, and it was chaos. I can't believe how much it's come in 7 years, really, because that's how long it's been since I've been gone. But this club should strive for excellence. It should strive for fairness. It should strive for the ability for kids to grow, because this isn't to have to. Kids don't have to play. They got to go to school. They've got to follow the rules at home. They've got to put their shoes away. They do not have to come to the rink. And if we're pissed off about the way that the club's run, there's two things to do. You can leave, or you can get input back. You guys elect the board. The board can't run this like a dictatorship. If they do, then it's going to go like this, and it's going to eventually fall over. But if there's an avenue for ideas to flow to the board that you know are taken seriously, then the club can grow. Then the club, these issues that are going on now that everybody's quite aware of, that gets stopped in the early stage because there is a pipeline of information. It doesn't all work one team to another team to a different, hockey 4 to hockey 3. It's the same thing. Hockey 4 is governed by the same rules as the bantam team that John's coaching. That's the core of what the club is. And my belief is you guys have to establish or reestablish the core. Because the core becomes what these guys get out of it. It's not what we get out of it. Our days are long gone. Our days of hockey are gone. You're supposed to do this because your kid loves it. Because your kid wants to play. And that gets me to kind of the next part. And that's the communication between the board and the parents. And again, my belief is that has to be established as a far more free-flowing thing. Because if it's not, if you get an email that you sort of kind of half read, that doesn't do it. There has to be a connection between what is decided for the core or for the club's benefit and what the parents really want. Because again, you are the club. It's not 100 different clubs. It just can't work that way. So when you guys are communicating things to them and the board is listening, one thing has to be true, and the parents have to be the voice of reason. And that sounds so simple, but it's just not. I've been in that rink and wanted to strangle another parent because he's yelling at my kid, which he's got no business doing. Worry about your own kid. Don't be yelling at my kid. Yes, my son should have passed the puck. I get it. He's 12. He should have passed the puck. He didn't. If I want to get angry with him, that's fine. But there's a way to communicate that. And it can't be that the intensity of the game takes away from the parents being the voice of reason. Because I'm telling you, that is the biggest change I've seen, is that the parents get so wound up in wanting the best for their kids. Because I think all the thought is pure. We want our kids to be the best they can be. We want to give them every avenue they can have to be the best they can be. But it can't be an emotional avenue. And it's the hardest thing to do. John and John know me quite well. And I played a long time in the NHL at a very small size because I have a lot of fire. I had as many penalty minutes as I had games played at my size. To watch my sons play was extremely difficult. Because if I was a piano player, I couldn't tell them anything, right? What do I know about the game? But everybody's played some sort of hockey, so we all think we know. Yet we have coaches, and you have to trust that the coach has the team's best interest at hand. Now, if that's not the case, then that's where there's an avenue to discuss things with the board. But you can't go to the coach. You can't corner the manager. Because your sons see that, and they go, why would I listen to him? My dad doesn't like the way he coaches. I was incredibly lucky. My dad was born in 1928, never skated a day in his life. Knew very little about the game, except he was Canadian and he learned the game. He knew my game inside and out. It was incredible, the detail that he could talk to me about, even when I went to the NHL. We would get in the truck after the game. I lived in Trail. It was a 10-minute ride home. He never brought up the game. Never. Didn't say good game, didn't say bad game, nothing. He let me start the conversation, which generally went, Dad, what do you think? And he would tell me something about the game. The car rides never had any tension on the way home. I wish I could have said that about the way I was with my kids, but I wasn't. And it took me a long time to find out what the balance is. How can I get information to my son without him saying, Dad, enough? He didn't care that I played in the NHL. I was his dad. He wanted support. And I knew with my dad that I always had it. I always wondered why he stood down at the other end of the rink. And all the parents stood under the heaters. And he stood down at the end. And I always wondered till I went down to the other end of the rink eventually. It's because I'm there to watch my son. I'm not there to watch your son or your son. Guys would come up after the game and ask me, well, how do you think Johnny played? And I would say, I have no idea. Because I didn't want to get drawn into it. Now, one of those players is Mike Santorelli, who's playing for the Nashville Predators. He just got traded. And his dad, Vince, was another fiery Italian guy. But Vince was there, and he never talked about anybody else. He just talked about his kids. And that's the way it has, well, it can be any way you want. That's the way it should be. Be here for your kid and be here to support your kid. Why the heck does he want to hear it from you about this when he has to hear it from you, and I mean me too, about everything else? How many of us go to our teachers, our kids' teachers, and tell them how to teach? I would say probably nobody. But everybody has a way with the coach because we all sort of know it. You should see the stuff I get on Twitter about what a moron I am, that I don't know anything about hockey. And I'm like, I don't know it all, but I think I know a little bit. I look at the picture and my first thought is this guy can't walk down the street and chew gum. And he's telling me that I'm a moron. It's because we all have some connection to this game. And this game can be great. And it should be great. And the club has an opportunity. You guys have this incredible opportunity. Because first you sign your kids up here. So you don't have to get up at 5 in the morning. So that's the first thing. It's awesome. The second thing is you have access to coaches that, for the most part, will be here for other than their kids' reasons. And that's really important. The connectivity of the club is what has to always be something to improve upon. And I don't think there's a message I could make more strongly that for years and years, the same people ran this club, and their kids were long gone, and we were pretty lucky because their kids were long gone. They didn't care who was playing on the power play on the Bantam team. Their kids weren't in college. Now, I asked John to dig this up for me. Sorry for outing my source here, but in the last 10 years, there's been 21 players at the North Shore Winter Club and the Burnaby Winter Club that have played one game in the NHL. 21. Let's times that by 3 and say there's that many players that have college scholarships. In 10 years, there's literally thousands of players that have been through each club. What are you here for? I think there are kids that are going to play in the NHL, but I don't know too many Matthew Barzels. Matthew's going to get drafted in the first round this year. There are far more that won't. On our Bantam team, there were some incredible players on that team, on both of those teams that I went through here. To my knowledge, my son is the only pro player. There's one other one, and I'm going to get to him in a second. That's it. There's not many. So what's changed is the intensity of what we're trying to do with our kids. There never used to be extra coaching. There never used to be skill development. Man, we didn't have it. We just went and played on the rink. There was puck and stick time. And we figured out whatever. We didn't have a net at one end. I mean, we had a net at one end. Everybody wanted to shoot at that net. Because at the other end, on the ice, we just had whatever we could find. Because there was 3 nets in trail. And the other game had 2. So we only had 1. So we had to use whatever we found for the other one. So there was none of this extra skill stuff. So now I could be wrong, and you guys could tell me that I'm wrong, but I see a sense of, I'm paying for extra skating, I'm paying for extra shooting, I'm paying for skill development, you owe me a better performance. they don't owe you a better performance. They owe you their best. That's all they got. That's all they got. And when you think that by doing all this extra stuff, that you're going to turn your son or daughter into a professional player, you're probably missing the point. And the reason that I brought this up is there was a second player off of Landon's Bantam team that is a pro hockey player. His name's Curtis McKenzie. Curtis McKenzie is an 11 out of 10 as a kid. He's a phenomenal kid. Curtis lived in Cranbrook, and there wasn't much competitive hockey at that time there for him. So he came down here and lived with his grandparents. Now there was a residency issue that went up before BC minor hockey that by the time they sorted this thing out, Curtis would have graduated from high school by the time it was going to get done. So he didn't play. Didn't have a year of hockey. No games. He practiced with John's 8-year-old team. He was 13. Curtis is playing for Dallas tonight. He did it through hard work. He did it through love of the game. He did it through good fortune. And you need all of that stuff to play. So if you want to go get your kids extra coaching and extra skill stuff, awesome. Go get it. But they've got to want to do it. And then that's it. There can be no expectation. I hear all the time, hey, my kid wants to play hockey 24/7. It's all he wants to do. I was like that. Except I played soccer. I played in the Little League World Series. I played tennis. I played golf. The well-rounded athlete's a well-rounded kid. And to be on the ice 12 months a year is crazy. And the reason I know it's crazy is there's no more passionate worldwide sport than soccer. In Brazil, I'm only learning this because I'm now in the soccer world. In Brazil, their kids are denied the field in the hottest months. They don't play. They do something else. They seem to turn out a lot of soccer players out of Brazil. If the kids are meant to be, it'll be meant to be. If you boys love to practice and you want to shoot pucks or balls at home, shoot pucks or balls at home. But go do something else too. Learn something else because it'll help you. It'll help you on the ice. And what it'll help you with as well, it'll help your dad and it'll help your mom realize that the whole world doesn't revolve around there. Because the less you're there, if you can take some time off, the more you're going to love it. The more that your passion will be. You'll get to the rink, you can't wait to practice. My 8-year-old told me the other day, we were going to soccer practice and it had been rained out the previous week. And he said, you know, Dad, I just can't wait to practice today. No, this almost made me cry. He said, I can't wait to practice today. He goes, I love soccer so much, I don't know whether I like passing or scoring. And I was like, that's just incredible that you would love it that much. Because I don't know anything about it. I mean, I know you kick it in that net, and if you do it more than them, you win. But I can't teach them anything. I don't know enough about it. And maybe that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, and I'll open it up if you guys have some questions, at the end of the day, remember this. And again, I've been here, and it took me a long time to realize this. The Burnaby Winter Club exists for kids. It doesn't exist for parents. These guys are the club. You guys just get them here. And so if the board and the parents can find a way to exchange information more freely, the club will get stronger. The club will continue to grow. Because after you're gone, the club's still going to be here. There'll just be a whole new group of parents, and there'll be a whole new group of problems, and then by year 3, everything will get figured out, and they'll have 3 or 4 good years with a problem here and a problem there, and then they'll leave. And then the whole cycle will start again. But why waste time? There's been almost a black eye that's here, and there's a chance to change it and fix it. And you guys have that opportunity. And so I hope your kids love the game as much as I did, and I hope you guys love watching your kids and are as proud of your kids as I am watching my kids. Even Matt, the older one who was a goalie, which, by the way, I don't know if any of you guys are goalies, it's the most torturous position to watch. And so I was just so proud that that's what he was doing. I could see Landon was going to go somewhere else, but I loved watching him play. I just love it because they're doing what they love. And I hope you guys feel the same way about your kids. So good luck to everything that you guys are doing. If you have any questions about anything, kids too, feel free to ask. Don't be shy. And because there's not much that's out of bounds. Okay, thank you. You know, guys, anything you want to know? Yeah. Oh my God, yes. I didn't know it. See, he had more hair then. Do you know that? Do you know he had more hair then? Yeah. Okay, me too.
But if he has hairs, he says yes.
Everybody's as good as they said they were. It depends. What did he say? Did he say he got shutouts every night?
He said he would be like.
Because he did get a shutout every night. I know that.
Well, he said he was like a superstar. He was like, and he said he got.
Oh, you're killing your dad right now.
The shutout was the third best goal. It was Seth Martin, Cesar Maniego, and me.
And Cesar is, for those that know Cesar, Cesar was a star, and we were lucky in trail. Cesar would come back and talk to us, and so my generation, we knew Cesar, and Cesar, you know, I know Cesar now, but in trail and small club, there was this lineage of guys that played in the NHL somehow out of trail, and it's kind of worked its way. Now Barrett Jackman is the one that's still playing now. You guys have it here too. But as cool as that is, again, don't make the focus just that, because the number of NHL players are like this. It is incredibly hard and getting harder and harder all the time for players to get there. Anyone? No? If not, well, all the best to you. Good luck to everything, and enjoy your hockey. Have a good winter, kids. That's the best.